Okay, it's that we call it Around the Movie Block with The Rock. This week's movie review with Rocco Tasafume.
Thank you very much, Howie. The movie I have for you this week is called Downhill. It is directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash and stars Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It takes place with a married couple, Pete and Billy Staunton, played respectively by Ferrell and Louis-Dreyfus, who go through a rough patch in their marriage after a near-death encounter during a family ski vacation. It is actually a remake of a movie from 2014 that got great accolades when it came out. It's a Swedish movie called Force Majeure. It got nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Golden Globes, and it's definitely a refreshing, change of pace from a lot of the theatrical movies that have come out in the last couple of months, outside of Oscar season, of course. The plot of this movie, I have to say, is definitely one of the more interesting plots you will see in a movie in quite some time. Like this idea that one moment can change in the entire dynamics of a married relationship is just fascinating to me, and I think that's really the strong point of this movie. Particularly the fact that, think about it, like you have a moment that is so traumatizing to a husband and wife, and then the husband does something which is, comes off kind of really cowardly, being the father and the husband, your first instinct naturally is to, protect your wife and your children when something bad happens. But when, the husband kind of, abdicates his responsibilities, that really presents an interesting scenario for this type of movie. However, what they did was they changed a lot of it for this movie, for the remake, and rather than really confront the issue directly like they did in the original Force Majeure, it kind of soft pedals it a bit, with the kind of traditional comedy that you see, particularly from Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell, I personally think he was a bit badly miscast in this movie. Will Ferrell, he's been known to play like these kind of overgrown man boys in movies like Old School and Step Brothers and stuff like that, and he really isn't very well suited for this type of movie. You see a lot of stuff that goes on in this movie that really reminds you of those movies, and I feel like it doesn't really fit the kind of more mature kind of setting that this movie tries to project itself as being. So I think that's one particular problem in the movie. The other part of the problem is the stuff they add to it, which is the more kind of broad, traditional kind of comedy that you see in this movie. It really kind of makes light of the central core of the movie, which I think is sort of this issue of, how men should be with their wives and their children. And it's such an interesting topic as a plot, but I feel like in the nature of trying to make it entertainment and, this kind of appeasing, appealing kind of comedy to like a middle of the road audience, it really doesn't do its subject matter really a lot of justice. And I really do feel like when you compare this to the original movie, I really do feel like the original movie is worth seeking out. I mean, yes, subtitles are not something that is like considered, it's considered a chore for a lot of people, but I really do feel like this is a case where seeking out the original movie really is worth your while. I saw both movies to compare the two of them, and I really do feel like the original Force Majeure is definitely a much stronger movie by comparison to this. And I think it really, I should mention, I do not stress this enough, I highly recommend seeing the original movie Force Majeure. It definitely is one of the best movies I've seen of 2010, in the 2010s. I feel like it would be perfect score movie by comparison. So I feel like for this movie, the one that just came out, I would give it like a mild recommendation. Yes, it's very, very flawed. Yes, the comedy kind of soft pedals the original fantastic idea of the movie a little too much. And yes, Will Ferrell, it seems very, very badly miscast in this. I would mildly recommend it only if you feel like it's you really feel like it's that much of a chore to go watch a movie with subtitles. But if you really do want to see the original movie, which is currently with this broadcast available on a streaming site called Tubi, T-U-B-I, completely free. I think we definitely feel it's worth seeking out. So the original movie is called Force Majeure, M-A-J-E-U-R-E. Worth seeing, definitely one of the best movies I've seen in this last decade, 2010s. But overall, I definitely give the movie the remake of this movie, Downhill, 2 out of 5 stars. So thank you.
Okay, Rocco, thank you very much for that review.